Can you believe it? It has now been 1 year since Diablo 4 has officially released, which was on the 6th of June 2023, and it is time to look back at the past, present, and also look at the future of Diablo 4. I think when we are looking in the past of Diablo 4, I think we can all agree that the game came out too soon. It was half cooked. Yes, the story was alright. I really enjoyed playing through the story once, and that was a good thing, and I'm definitely looking forward to the story in the expansion. But the problem is that was maybe 20% of the game, and the other 80% was the end game. And at release, there wasn't really much there. We had what? Hell Tides every 2 hours, a boss every 4 hours, and then we could do some nightmare dungeons in the meantime, which were also not as many as promised, and they were not really that interesting, and character development was just absolutely horrid. It was just not ready. Then the first season came around, and a lot of people just asked the question, why? Right? Like there were so many underlying issues with Diablo 4 in itself that the season didn't really do much, and people found that it was more or less a waste of time, not just theirs, but also Blizzard's, because they could have just used the time to put that into some underlying changes. Then season 2 came out, and it's kind of interesting that season 2 was already what we would get with season 4, right? Season 2 was relatively being seen positive by the community because it brought a lot of underlining system changes to the game, right? We had a lot of changes coming to the game, new end bosses came in, new ways on how to actually level up your character, like a permanent hell tide was established, and so on and so forth. Like there was a lot where people immediately said, okay, this was a good season, not necessarily because of the special seasonness going on, but because of all the underlying system changes you introduced. Then season 3 came around again, and it was another season of why, right? There wasn't really there too much. It was, here are dungeons, but now we have traps. Okay, cool. And what are you doing about the gameplay issues this game has? And Blizzard's answer was, well, not this time. And then we are now at the present, and that is season 4. Season 4 has been fantastic so far, right? People love season 4. Tons of people came back. Mostly people talk about it positively, right, when they talk about season 4. And the fun part is there is no real like season mechanics. There's nothing really special in this season besides all the underlying gameplay and system mechanics which have been changed. Like we finally got changes to the item mechanics. Leveling is now so much faster, like really faster. We have now tons of endgame activities we can do. And in general, when you are looking at season 4, you look at it very positively. And I'm really hoping that Blizzard has learned something here, that Blizzard has finally understood that we don't necessarily need crazy season mechanics right now. We need changes to the game which really help to make this game more fun in the long term, right? Like, yes, the item changes they introduced were fantastic, was the right thing, but we have still issues. Character development is still a huge problem and pretty boring most of the time. We have now reached a point where, like, your normal left click that needs a rework, because basically in season 4 you only use your left click whenever you use a specific build for that, but not anymore for anything else. That is something they have to tackle. World bosses are an absolute joke right now, right? You are going to a world boss, and sometimes the world boss is dead before even the spawn animation has finished. And just adding a bazillion more HP is not really fixing the problem, because people are going to the world bosses right now because it is an easy way of earning quick items in just 10 seconds, right? Like that's why you were still doing the world bosses. But the moment you would make actually the world bosses tough again, you would also have to look at like what do you get out of it? Because another ancestral legendary or another ancestral unique, well, that's nice, but most people don't need that. I'm not even level 100 right now, and I'm getting pretty close to like best in slot items on my character, and I haven't really done much for, right? And I'm not complaining about this. I am not complaining about this. I'm just saying that they need probably something else which would make the world bosses interesting again to farm, even if it would now take longer than, let's say, 5 minutes. Right? Nobody would do the world bosses anymore if they would take 5 minutes or 10 minutes again just for the few items you are getting out of it right now. And so they are still underlining systems which have to be fixed. They have to be fixed, and I would rather see Blizzard working on that instead of giving us a new season mechanic. But that is, again, my opinion. I can totally understand where people are not really on that camp and they want to see like underlining season mechanics coming back and all that. I totally understand that. I mean, that's what Blizzard promised, right? Blizzard at this point has to make a decision. Do they want to keep up their promise of every 3 months, which they have technically already broken, but every 3 months we are getting like a season with new gameplay mechanics? Or do they want to do what actually stick with the community and where the community was happy and just give us the gameplay mechanics till they really feel like, okay, we have now fixed all the big underlining unfinished issues, and now we can finally focus on the seasons. And now let's talk about the future of Diablo 4. As you know, we are still supposed to get an expansion. And more importantly, in just a few days, we have the Xbox Showcase where Blizzard will be, and they will probably showcase more of the Diablo 4 expansion. Now, what we will see there, I would assume the first gameplay, and yes, we will get a first glimpse on the new class. Blizzard has announced that the class will be something completely unique and we haven't seen before in any of the other Diablo games. So for everyone who hoped for the Paladin, I have some bad news for you. Or Blizzard is doing the Blizzard thing again. They're not calling it Paladin, right? They're not calling it Templar. They're now calling it Light Revenger or something, right? And it's basically just a Paladin with another name. But they said it's a class we have never seen before. So I hope that's really what it is. But that is something we will see, and then we will finally see some hopefully new gameplay mechanics. Also, I'm really curious what they will add to the end game of Diablo 4 because something happened with season 4 I didn't saw coming. They added the pit, aka the Greater Rifts, from Diablo 3. And I thought this is something we will probably see in the expansion and not coming in with a regular patch, right? So I was actually very pleasantly surprised when that happened. But it definitely begs now the question, okay, what else do you got? Because I'm hoping that the expansion will just not be a class, a new area, and a little bit of story, and that's it, right? If that is the new expansion, there would not be enough, right? At least not for the price Blizzard would probably ask you for, because that thing will probably cost 50 or 60 bucks, because Blizzard, yay! So I have definitely a lot of questions still, what is coming for Diablo 4, but I can tell you this. If you would have asked me about half a year ago what I think about Diablo 4, I would have said I was very disappointed, right? Like, I'm very disappointed with the unused potential which is still in the game, and I'm not sure if we will ever get there. The good news is now with Diablo 4 being at the state it is right now, I'm actually very positive for the future of this game and that it's still being turned around, right? They already have been starting to turn it around, and I am still playing it, right? So that's a good sign. And I hope they will continue this in the future so that after a year we can come back and see how much Diablo 4 has grown even more. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, Also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more action RPGs, and survival games, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It will help me out a great deal. And thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.